name is Melissa van Dijk and I'm a makeup artist, and in today's video we're going to talk about the Muru Muru Butter Bronzer by Physicians Formula, and I'm also going to show you how you can apply the bronzer and actually use the bronzer so that you will look gorgeous at the end. So first, when we have a look at the bronzer itself, it has a beautiful and also summery looking packaging, and when you open it up then you have the bronzer itself. Now they have 8 different shades, which I do love, so you definitely will find something if you are lighter and also very pale, to if you are darker and very bronzed. So this is definitely what is very important, and what I also believe is like there's a shade for everyone. And if we have a look at the formula, you will, like when I first got it, I thought that it would be a powdery kind of bronzer, but if you're going over it, it feels very buttery, as it already says, but I thought it's kind of very mild but still a powder like formula. But if you have a look at it, it's very creamy, and it also will glide on your skin perfectly, like without any strokes, without having any like dirt on your face looking whatsoever. But it's still like, you will see still some powder right here, so it's something in between. It's not totally powdery, it's also not totally creamy, which is very interesting. I've never had something like this before, and for me personally this is something completely new, which surprises me. And if we open it up, like underneath the bronzer, there you have, like there's a bronzer, then you have the mirror, and then you have also a sponge applicator right here. For me personally, I'm not going to use the sponge applicator because I'm not seeing a lot of sense on how to apply the bronzer with it, and then still you will see any, like have later on, any strokes because of this edge right here. So what I would recommend using is a brush. Now I'm getting like soon to the brush. What I also wanted to mention is that Physicians Formula, like the butter bronzer, is very affordable. It's for around $15, which is not bad, and I personally find you get a lot of product in it. Now, it also says on the website that they are paraben-free, gluten-free, oil-free, dermatologist tested, sorry. It's also vegan and cruelty-free, so you have everything that's like where you can put a check on it. So it's totally also safe and also good to use. Now you don't have to worry about anything. What I also like to mention is that it has a smell. So if you smell it, it definitely has the Muru Muru smell, which is the buttery consistency, and it also smells similar to a coconut. For me personally, it has a really strong smell, so if I'm smelling it like this, it also will give me a headache if I'm smelling it too long. But what I also wanted to point out is that once you apply it on your face and you are working it in with the rest of your makeup, the smell will disappear slowly, so it isn't as strong anymore at the end. Now with this one as well, it has a matte finish. It still is a creamy consistency, but it has a matte finish, so there's no shimmer in it, which is also something that's like in your own preference, if you like something with shimmer or not. So let's move on how to use it. So first I'm going to put my hair out of my face, and we are going to start off with the brush. So the brush that I'm using is a foundation brush, and the reason why is because it has the creamy texture, which means that a dense brush will work beautifully with it. If you're going to use a too soft like brush, it won't show as much payoff, and also because it will stuck between your bristles, so you won't really get all of the product on your face, which is kind of a waste of product. So that's why I also would recommend going in with a denser brush. You don't have to use a foundation brush, just take something that's definitely not fluffy. This one is a dense brush, and that's why I've picked it. First, because it's a rounded brush, and second, it's like a foundation brush, which will work with cream products and also liquid products. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to swirl it around, and we're going to start off with the cheek area. And you still see that it's very powdery, so if I'm swirling the brush around, there's still some powder that's flying off the side, which makes like kind of no sense, but it still is very creamy and it has powder as well. So I'm just going to apply and also start with my cheek area. So I'm just going to tap off the excess so that I'm not using too much. And I'm going to start off with my cheek area. So what's important is that this is not a contouring product, which means that we're going to use it on top of the cheekbone. So not where the hollow is of our cheekbone, but on top of it. And I'm going to start from the front center towards the hairline. I'm going to use circular motions very slowly. and we are going to build it up as we want. So I always would recommend starting off slowly and also with less product, so that you can also have the control on how much product you're going to use. If you want to add more bronzer, go for it. But if you're adding too much, it's getting a bit trickier to reduce it. And also towards the hairline. Now with the Physicians Formula bronzer, I have to say it's blending beautifully. I've been using it once I've powdered my face, and also if I'm not going to powder my face. So for example, right now I have no powder on my face, I have my foundation on, concealer, etc. But I'm going to use the Physicians Formula bronzer on top of it, which means I haven't set the face, and the bronzer works beautifully if you have already powdered your face, or if you're just going to put the bronzer in between, like after you have applied the foundation and then you're applying the bronzer and then you set it with powder. So either way, there's nothing wrong with it. You can do it before or after you've powdered your face, which is amazing, and it's also not tricky to blend it, as it will really melt in with the rest of your makeup. Of course, you can also use it on its own. So now we are going to work our way up towards the forehead area, which is right here. Now basically with the bronzer, what you want to do is that you're going to hit the areas where the sun naturally would hit you and also bronze you up. So I'm just going to look into the larger mirror to take my hair out of my face. And what's important is that you're also going to blend it into your hair so that you won't see a harsh line. And I also do keep my circular motions, as I wanted to keep blending the bronzer into my skin. Now I always can add more if I want to, but for now this side is fine. I'm just going to move on to the other side. So moving on to the other side, I'm just doing the same. I'm starting from the front right here, from my cheek area, and I'm going backwards. Circular motions. And for me personally, the days that I've been trying this bronzer is basically also with different foundations and also with different, if I powder my face or not, and it blends beautifully. I haven't had any issues with it, because sometimes if a bronzer is too creamy or too powdery, depends on what you're having, then it can look easily as it would be dirt in your face. But this one, if you're using it step by step and if you're building it up, it looks just gorgeous and very natural, which I do enjoy. And I also would say that this one is perfect for every skin type, as if you have dry skin, because of the creamy texture, it won't show off the dry patches. Of course, depends on which foundation you're using before. Now, what I also do want to mention is that if you have beautiful skin, and you have no breakouts, no problems with your skin, then you also can use it on its own, which I would dream of doing it, because if my skin would be perfect with no problematic areas, I just would love to use it on its own, as it just gives me a beautiful finish and it's so easy to apply. And I also, when I had a look at the different shades, they definitely, this one isn't as orangey toned as other ones, but I would say that if you are going into the medium darker range, then the undertone will change, and it also will look suitable for your skin type, skin tone. So this is also something what I do really enjoy. So now that I have bronzed my face, I just know that the Butter bronzer is amazing. I've never experienced a formula like this. I love the smell as it is now on my face. It's alright, it's not too strong, and it also will disappear after some time, which I do not mind. I just wouldn't recommend, if you are very sensitive to any smells, that you are not smelling it for hours, but just telling you that the smell can be intense for some people. Now for me personally, the Butter bronzer is just amazing. I love how it applies, I love how it blends, and I've just used a foundation brush for it. I definitely wouldn't recommend with a fluffier brush, as I already said, as it also can maybe give you an uneven finish, just because the bristles aren't as fine together as with a denser brush. But all in all, I just love the bronzer. The only thing that's a bit messy is that the powder just flies everywhere instead of being in the package. Now I just wanted to show you a close-up on how the Butter bronzer looks on my skin, And for me personally, it just blended beautifully, and there are no chunks, there are no like strange patches on where the product got stuck with my foundation or where it's still a bit like wet. And all in all, I just love how it blended. And for me personally, I just feel like this is one of the easiest products to blend, like when it comes to the bronzer, that I've ever used, because all the other ones are either too creamy or too powdery, which if you're not really experienced with bronzers, then it also can be tricky, but this one blended like very easy in just minutes. Now, one thing that I noticed, because I've done a bit of research on who Physicians Formula is, what the brand does, etc., and basically what they're telling people is that they're very passionate about their products and also formulas, which I do get. And the formula itself, like the bronzer itself, is made in Italy, but the packaging, which kind of looks a bit cheap compared to the formula itself and the product, it's packed in China, which doesn't make a lot of sense, because why would you take a product that's made in Italy to China to pack and then bring it back and then distribute? It doesn't really make sense. Like, if they really want to save up some money for packing it, why China? Like, why can't they just do it where they are? Like, because the travel is also something that costs, and then you're doing it in China, which is a bit weird, and also kind of like where I think a lot about it in general. Like, why would you do something in Italy or in the US or wheresoever and then go to China to let it packed in and then bring it back? So it doesn't really make sense, which is a bit concerning to me. Not that the product is bad, it's just like the way they are doing it is a bit strange. So I just wanted to point this out, because sometimes I believe that people who are buying products do not really care about who the brand is, what the brand does, and whatsoever. I personally find it really interesting on who owns which brand, which is really crazy after some time. And then who like does the formula, who picks whatever, and then where they are going to pack it, which is really interesting. I know that some people might think, well, whatsoever, as long as the product is good, but just keep this in the back of your head, and then you might think about it once you're ending up with questioning like these type of things. So I just wanted to get this out there because people are forgetting about it. But all in all, let's get back to the Butter Bronzer by Physicians Formula. I just love the bronzer, and I definitely would recommend you the bronzer if you are struggling with the application, if you want something easy and quick, if you want to have a beautiful formula that's not going to look like dirt on your skin. Then I definitely would recommend getting this one, because this is the easiest formula that I've ever used when it comes to bronzers, and it definitely will look gorgeous and flawless on you. Now, at the end of the day, of course, you need to feel comfortable with it, and you can also apply as much bronzer as you like, depends also on your skin tone, on your skin type, and so on. But all in all, I'm really happy with it, and I'm definitely going to continue using it. And I hope that this review and little tutorial was helpful for you guys, and that you now can make a decision whether or not you should get it for yourself. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon in the next one. Bye!